What's up, guys? GameNut here, and welcome back to my NFL regular season predictions. Week number 7 now upon us, and man, I feel like this season is going by so quickly. But let's, of course, go ahead and take a look at last week to see how well we ended up scoring on our predictions. And as you guys are seeing it, man, wasn't a terrible week, wasn't the best week once again, could have been worse. We ended up going 8-6, 8 games guessed correctly out of 14. I'm not too mad about that. Obviously, I would like to do better, but it could have been much worse. So as we look at the other hand side, though, for Madden 21 and see their predictions, they actually tied us the first time this season where they have the same record. They also went 8-6, but obviously they did guess different games correctly from what we did. So as we take a look at our overall records now, obviously still staying the same distance apart. That's a tongue twister, man, from Madden 21's overall record from what ours is. So heading into our week 7 schedule now, and let's of course take a look at the teams on a bye. We've got ourselves the Minnesota Vikings, Miami Dolphins, Indianapolis Colts, and my Baltimore Ravens all on a bye this week, which, man, it sucks for the bye week because I hate having to wait an extra week to watch my team play, man. Going 2 weeks between games, it definitely stings a little bit, and I don't like doing that. But obviously, in terms of football and actually, with the team's health-wise and all that crap, obviously the bye week couldn't have come at a much better time for my Ravens, man, because we need to get our act together. We need to figure some things out because that game last week against the Eagles was so sloppy, and we should have definitely won by a much higher margin than what we did. So I'm definitely glad that my Ravens are resting this week and getting things together. But speaking of the Eagles, they did just play on this Thursday night primetime game with our NFC least matchup that we ended up having. The New York Giants going into this game were 1-5, going against the Eagles, like I did say, they are 1-4-1. Obviously, this game already done and over with. You guys know the result. Eagles ended up coming out on top, and I did choose the Eagles to win this game, thankfully. I definitely won the past couple of weeks not getting the Thursday night game guessed correctly, so it's nice to get one finally here. But obviously, this game could have gone either way. It was a complete mess. I actually didn't watch the game at all because I knew it was probably going to be boring, and I didn't have much of an interest in it considering it was two bottom-end teams in the NFL this season. And I mean, I saw some of the highlights after the game was over. Obviously, the biggest one to take away is just watching Daniel Jones run down the field 80 yards by himself for an easy touchdown, and the man tripped on a blade of grass. He tripped on Casper the Ghost. I don't know what it was, man, but this dude just tripped on air and had a walk-in touchdown. Like I said, a highlight play would have been a 90-yard rushing touchdown, but instead the only thing people are going to take away from that play is laughing at him tripping in open space by himself, which is just, oh man, it's just an embarrassment. Just sums up New York football in general and just the NFC East in general. So obviously, like I said, wasn't a very exciting game, and I didn't watch it, so thankfully I was able to guess it correctly by picking the Eagles. So heading into the schedule for our Sunday matchups now, first one on the list, we have a game that should have been flexed to Sunday Night Football, but NFL just doing a great job as always. We've got ourselves 2 undefeated teams, man, 2 of 3 left in the season so far. Pittsburgh Steelers going to take on the Tennessee Titans, both sitting at 5-0, man. Obviously, both these teams having a great success so far, man. I really thought that the Titans were going to lose last week to the Texans. It came down super close. Houston was within reaching distance of being able to get that win many times, but obviously the Titans were able to clutch it up, and Derrick Henry just continuing to be Derrick Henry and just running all over defenses, man. It's crazy. Pittsburgh Steelers, on the other hand, once again, their offense is moving. Obviously, they're figuring things out. Ben Roethlisberger being back is obviously a big boost, and, it doesn't seem like he's missed a step. They're getting their groove going, and then obviously the defense for the Steelers is, a big thing. It wasn't the best in the past couple of seasons, but, over these past few years, I feel like they've been building on it with draft picks and whatnot, and it's definitely starting to show. The defense for the Pittsburgh is definitely great this year, so, it definitely goes to show that both of these teams, they deserve to be 5-0, and it's going to be a great battle nonetheless. And I feel like I'm going to hate myself for picking this, man, but I am going with the Steelers. Obviously, you guys know, being a Ravens fan, I don't like the Steelers, so I don't like picking them in general, and I don't like seeing them win at all, but I feel like with this matchup, it definitely should be the Steelers that comes out on top. Again, I feel like the Tennessee Titans are not a true 5-0 team. It's just something about them, man. I don't know. When it comes down to the end of the season, despite what their record is, what position they will be in the playoffs, I just don't feel like they're going to make it very far. Obviously, they're good regular season teams this year, and you can't take that away from them. But in terms of this matchup, I'm going to go with the Steelers. I think long-term, they're going to be the better team, the superior team, over top of the Titans. Looks like the other 2 teams in the NFC least are also going to be battling it out against each other. The Dallas Cowboys now sitting at 2-4, going to take on the Washington football team. man, this is a game where obviously if Dak Prescott, was still healthy, if we were in a different dimension where that happened, I would be going with the Cowboys, man. But call me crazy, I'm gonna pick the Washington football team to win this game, man. Okay, now hear me out. Obviously, Dak Prescott being out for the Cowboys hurts. They looked terrible last week against the Cardinals. Like, they didn't even put up a fight. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott, obviously he's the only man left on that offense to get it done, and he just wasn't looking like himself. We all know how bad the defense is for the Cowboys. They just don't seem like they have it. And obviously division games, they're a lot tougher. They could be, a lot closer games, despite of what the records are for either side of the teams. But I just think that the Washington football team, they're going to be able to get it done. They're a more complete team as of right now. I mean, they have less injuries. Their defense is definitely a little bit better than the Cowboys. You could say that. The offense isn't the best for Washington right now, but in terms of these two teams going at it, man, I think I'm going to go with the Washington football team getting the upset. We've got ourselves another division matchup now here in the AFC East. The Buffalo Bills sitting at 4-2, dropping 2 games back-to-back, man, after starting undefeated. Which, the loss against the Chiefs makes sense. That's a tough team, but the game against the Titans, we all know, I feel like they should have never lost that game. But they're looking to bounce back this week, like I said, against their division opponent, the New York Jets, who are sitting still winless at 0-6. And I'd say it's pretty safe to say that the Bills probably will have a bounce back week and get themselves a win after dropping the last 2, like I said. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. New York football team, they just don't have it, man. They need to have some changes when it comes to New York football. The Jets, I don't see them winning this game whatsoever, especially when the Bills are having as great of a season as they are. And it just would seem pretty silly for the Bills 4-2, like I said, to just have a game where they lose against a winless team like the Jets. Seems like we have a lot of division matchups this week in the NFL. Carolina Panthers, now 3-3, going to take on their division opponent, the New Orleans Saints, at home. They are now 3-2, coming off of their bye week. As for the matchup, man, I think I've got to stay with the favorable, stronger opponent here, and that is obviously the Saints. I mean, they're playing home. They're just coming off their bye week, like I just said, and I feel like they're eventually going to start to get things together. These are definitely the Saints that we have not seen in the past. I feel like they're struggling a little bit this year, but always, like I have said, I feel like the Saints always drop 2 games very early in the season. But even last week, the game before, their bye week, I just feel like they've been a little bit sloppy. And obviously Carolina has been playing well, but when it comes to division, and it comes, after a bye week, I feel like the Saints, they're going to bounce back here, and I feel like they're going to be the ones picking up the win. The Green Bay Packers now 4-1, dropping that game last week to the Buccaneers, man, which I was so surprised to see that. I mean, I wasn't necessarily surprised to see the Bucs winning. I was surprised to see it so one-sided, man. It was just absolutely ridiculous. The Packers did not look like themselves whatsoever in that game. They this week, however, are going to take on the poor now Houston Texans, sitting at 1-5. And man, it kind of sucks to see the Texans like that, man, because I like Deshaun Watson. I think he's a great quarterback, and he will be in the NFL for a while. And just to see that, his season is pretty much all said and done already at week 7, man, it's going to be hard to come back from a 1-5 record. Like I said, it sucks to see it for Deshaun Watson. You definitely feel for him a little bit. But in terms of this matchup, I've got to stick with the Packers. Obviously, they're the winning team here. They're 4-1. And after dropping a game like they did the way last week against the Buccaneers, I feel like it wouldn't make sense for them to drop a second loss in a row. And again, to a team that is 1-5 on their season. So Green Bay Packers, I definitely see them winning this game. Now an AFC North matchup, we've got ourselves with the Cleveland Browns sitting at 4-2, going to take on the Cincinnati Bengals sitting at 1-4-1. Obviously, historically, between these two teams, they have never been the most exciting games, or obviously they've never been two good teams when it comes to playing each other. But the Browns, obviously, this year, they seem to be slightly decent, sitting with that 4-2 record. So they obviously are the favorable opponent here in this matchup, and I am unfortunately going to be picking the Browns to win this game. Now, the whole way, I am obviously rooting for the Bengals, man, because, I want to see the Browns continue to fall off. They've got 4 wins at this point. They obviously could be making a push towards the playoffs once that time does come. And any loss counts. So I obviously, like I said, I'm definitely rooting for the Bengals to win this game. But when it comes down to it, the team I see coming out on top, I feel like it has to be the Browns, just because the Bengals, they've got plenty of issues on their own. Next up, the now 2-3 Detroit Lions going to take on the 1-5 Atlanta Falcons. Last week, I picked both of these teams to win their games, and they did pull through for me. Both of them ended up winning. And as in terms for this matchup, man, I feel like it could go either way. I think it's going to be a good game. But I'm actually going to go with Detroit, man. Okay, I kind of was leaning towards Atlanta, but I've picked them like every game this year, and obviously they have not paid off for me, winning or losing almost every single game outside of, their one last week. And Detroit, man, they've been a slightly inconsistent team on and off. Obviously, they are definitely capable of winning games that they shouldn't, or winning games that they should, but obviously don't end up winning them. And I feel like this is that situation right here, man. This is a game that they should definitely be able to win. They should beat the Falcons because they just have their problems this year. They're not the best team. And Detroit, I feel like they're not out of it. I feel like their offense is going to be capable of being able to beat up on that Atlanta defense because, like I said, they're not the best. And I don't know, man. Like I said, I think it could go either way. But I'm just going to be rolling the dice with the Lions for this one. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers now sitting at 4-2 and fresh off of signing Antonio Brown, man. I still just cannot believe that. Freaking Tom Brady, man, crying on his phone, calling him up, saying, will you please come help me win another Super Bowl? I mean, it's ridiculous, man. Of course, that's where Antonio Brown had to end up. And I hate to see it, man. This week, they're going to take on the Las Vegas Raiders, now sitting at 3-2, also coming off of their bye week last week. And I think this is going to be a pretty good game between these two teams. I'm excited to watch this matchup. Kind of sucks that it did get flexed out of prime time because I feel like the Seahawks Cardinals still could be a good matchup, but this one would have been a good one as well. And I think for this game, man, I'm going to go with the Raiders. Now, hear me out. I feel like in terms of talent and in terms of, the teams, which is the better team here, I would definitely go with the Buccaneers. But this is one of those cases where in the NFL where I kind of feel like I can see the Raiders coming out on top. And also the big thing here would be obviously it's John Gruden playing against his old team. The old team he used to coach back in the day, man. So I feel like because of that, that's just something like the NFL, the story writes itself, man. And like I said, something like that, I just feel like it would make sense for John Gruden to beat his old team, the Buccaneers, here in this game. And so I'm taking the Raiders. Next up, two teams with only one win on their season. We've got ourselves the Jacksonville Jaguars at 1-5, going to take on the Chargers, now sitting at 1-4. Despite both of these teams only having one win on their season, I feel like the winner here to pick is kind of easy, and I'm going to be going with the Chargers, man. Justin Herbert, obviously, he seems like he's going to be a promising young rookie for the Chargers. And the Jaguars, they're just not that good of a team. That's put just as simply as that. They're not that good of a team. I feel like I don't really know what else to say about them. So, like I said, the Chargers, they've got the talent and they've got the young, promising rookie quarterback. So, I think I'm going to be going with LA to get this win. The San Francisco 49ers now sitting at 3-3, bouncing back, getting that win last week over the Rams. They are now going to take on the New England Patriots, sitting at 2-3. I think this is going to be a great matchup. Excited to watch this game. Obviously, you guys know the big story here is Jimmy G going back to play his old team he used to start for, or not start for, but sat on the bench behind Tom Brady for all those years and, got some free Super Bowl rings out of it. I think it's going to be an interesting game. I don't know if this is the first time Jimmy G is finally playing the Patriots, being on the 49ers. I don't remember if that's happened in the past yet or not. If it is the first matchup, obviously that's pretty exciting. But I feel like I'm going to have to go with the Patriots to win this game. I feel like the favored team here is definitely the 49ers, and I kind of want to pick them. But I just feel like the Pats are going to come out on top, man. Obviously, they didn't play too well last week against the Broncos. That was a pretty low-scoring and boring game. And I don't know, man. I don't see Bill Belichick, dropping 2 losses in a row, going to 2-4 on his season. That just wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. And I don't know, man. Like I said, I feel like they could get a bounce-back win after losing last week. And I feel like it would be a good one here to get it against the 49ers. Once again, another division matchup. We've got ourselves now the Kansas City Chiefs sitting at 5-1, going to take on the Denver Broncos sitting at 2-3. Obviously, you guys know I say it all the time, that division matchups, they're played tougher. Doesn't matter what the records are for both teams. But obviously, this is a different circumstance. We've got to stay with the Chiefs. It's like, can you pick against the Chiefs? Is that like a thing? I mean, I just don't know if there would be any other NFL team if the matchup were to be Chiefs versus somebody where I would pick the other team. I feel like I'm always going to pick the Chiefs, man. It's just because they're so dominant. It's for good reason that I'm picking the Chiefs every week, man. So obviously, like I said, going against the Broncos here, it could be a close game because it is division, but the Chiefs are just so good. So it's very hard to pick against them. And now for Sunday Night Football, a division matchup in the NFC West. We've got ourselves the Seattle Seahawks, still undefeated at now 5-0. Going to take on the Arizona Cardinals, sitting at 4-2 on their season. For this matchup, man, like I said, I feel like I could see the Cardinals finally taking down the Seahawks and giving them their first loss of the season. But until somebody does that, I feel like I cannot pick against the Seahawks, man. We all know Russell Wilson, he looks like he's MVP caliber this year, man. Playing fantastic. They're undefeated. It's hard to go against a team when they're undefeated, man, and it's hard to pick against them. Obviously, like I did say, I do think that it is possible to see the Cardinals doing so, and I think this is going to to be a great battle nonetheless. It's nice to see the Cardinals actually be a decent team, so we can have, you know, a good battle, good matchups between these two teams every or twice a year. But in terms of the matchup, I can't go against the Seahawks until they get that first loss. And finally, last but not least, we have Monday Night Football with the 5-1 Chicago Bears. That still just seems crazy to me, man. I feel like there's still a fake 5-1 team, man. Like, obviously, you would think a 5-1 team, you know, the Chiefs have that record. You think they are dominant amongst the top in the leagues, like power ranking wise. But when you look at the Bears, I don't see that, man. So when you see their 5-1 record, I just don't think they are as good as that shows. They this week, however, are going to take on the LA Rams, sitting at 4-2, which all 4 of their wins have come against the NFC least. So it's really like, how can you judge that team as well, man? So this is going to be a good game, no doubt. I feel like this is going to be a good test for both of these teams to really prove themselves and show who is the better team, because I feel like neither of these teams have proved their worth up until this point, considering they haven't won against good teams or really earned their wins, you know, talking about the Bears in that aspect. But for this matchup, I think it could go either way. Going to be an interesting one. I don't think it's going to be high scoring. I think it'll be low scoring for sure. I'm going to be going with the Rams, okay? Like I said, I think the Bears are a fake 5-1 team. I don't think they're as good as everybody thinks, or especially as good as their record shows. And I think the Rams are definitely slightly better, so I'm going to be having to go with the LA team in this situation. And there you guys have it, man. There are my predictions for week 7 of the season, man. Like I said before, I just feel like the NFL is going by so quickly. It just feels like it was last week. I was saying it is week 3 for predictions, and now we're sitting here at week number 7, already almost at the halfway point of the NFL. It's kind of crazy, man. But let's hope that we have a good week of predictions this week after, you know, not doing so well last week. I'm going for at least 10 games, man. If I can go at least 10-4, I'll be happy. That's definitely my goal, man. But I think we've got a great batch of games this week, man. I hope all of you guys enjoyed, man. If you did, be sure to put a thumbs up on the video, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and I will catch you all in the next one. Take it easy, guys. Peace out.